there! How are you today? I hope I'm finding you well. I am so excited. The sun is shining. I'm in the kitchen. I've got my apron on, and we're going to try a new recipe together. But first, let me tell you a little bit about it. I was invited to be a part of the holiday YouTube cookie collaboration hosted by Lauren at Work at Homesteader. I was so excited when she sent me the invitation because I just love making cookies and treats. Don't you? It's just that time of year where we want to get in the kitchen and we want to start baking some things and making some yummy treats. However, if you have been following along on my channel for a little bit, you know that we've been on a little bit of a journey. The farmer decided to do a no grain, no sugar diet, and the rest of us have kind of been following along with him, not quite as strictly as he has been. And I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe this upcoming holiday, some of you are either baking this way or are baking for others who have food restrictions. So the cookie that I'm making today, 3-ingredient vegan almond flour shortbread cookies. So it doesn't have any grains. We're using almond flour today. It doesn't have any eggs. It doesn't have any vegetable oils or butters or things like that. Now, if you're a diehard and you want to switch some of those things out, go for it. All the better to you. But I wanted to show you something that would have gluten-free options and just a cookie that, although nut allergies could be a problem, but almonds is one of those ones that's not usually quite as much as, say, like peanuts. But anyway, I just wanted to bring a fun and unique and different type of cookie to this collaboration. But before we get started, I do want to give a special thanks to the channel Grain in Small Places, because I was actually scheduled to do my video 3 days ago. We had a little bit of a family emergency, and she jumped in and she brought us all a delicious snickerdoodle recipe. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure you go check it out, because she uses her cookbook that she came up with the recipe and shares how to make fresh milled flour cookies. So thanks again for stepping in and helping a friend out. Now, before I lose your interest, let's get to baking. You'll need almond flour. Make sure you get the kind that's blanched. So I wasn't sure what blanched meant. Okay, this is all white. It's fine. It's the kind that you need. There is another type out there that's a little more coarse. And no, they didn't boil it, because to me in the kitchen, I think blanching, you boil something. That isn't necessarily what happened here. They're almond. See how it has that brown outer kind of a skin on it? What they do is they make sure they get that off before they grind it into the flour. So just make sure that when you're baking that you have the right kind of almond flour. For our sugar, we'll be using a coconut sugar today. Now, if you are staying completely away from sugar, but you're okay with using things like monk fruit or any other types of sweeteners, Truvia, stevia, regular brown sugar is fine too. Whatever you want to use is fine. Today, this is the sugar we're choosing to use. And for our fat, we're going to use some coconut oil. But absolutely, you can substitute it with butter or other oils. The difference that you'll find is we're going to add a little bit of water into our batter. You'll need that with the coconut oil. It's a little bit more dry, and so you will need to add about a teaspoon of water if you use the coconut oil. Otherwise, if you use butter, you don't need to do that, because it tends to have more of a water content in it, if that makes any sense to you at all. And then optionally, you can add vanilla or other extracts, pinch of salt. But basically, that's it. That's all you need. So gather up your ingredients in a bowl. You don't even need a mixer for this today. And meet me back here, and we'll make the cookies together. I'm just so excited to be able to make a fun new treat for the farmer and the family. This only makes about a dozen cookies, so it's not a huge batch. So if it's something that we don't want to overindulge on, it's not going to be a problem, because there's not going to be as much of it. I found this cookie recipe online at powerhungry.com. I'll put a link to that in the description box below, along with more information about this collaboration. We just need 1 cup of the almond flour. See that, how it's white and you don't see bits of brown? Then you know you've got the right kind. I have to get used to these new bags. They're not the zippy kind. They're almost like Velcro. So weird. We need 2.5 tablespoons of our coconut sugar. Now, most grocery stores have gotten really good about carrying this kind of stuff. I happen to find this at a specialty store, but you might be able to find it in your regular grocery, depending on where you live. So it's 2.5 tablespoons of this. And to me, it just looks like a brown sugar. So 1/2 tablespoon is 1.5 teaspoons, if you didn't know. There's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. And then our third ingredient is our fat, our coconut oil. And we need 2 tablespoons of this. And I need to warm this up in the microwave. Woo, almost lost it, didn't we? Woo. And we want this to be warm so that we can mix this up really easy. So I'm going to put this in the microwave and I'm going to melt it and I'll be right back. So that was just about 30 seconds in the microwave and it's pretty much melted. I'll just kind of give it a stir and that'll make the rest of that melt. And in that goes. And remember how I told you you'd need a little bit of liquid? You could use just a teaspoon of water, but actually I'm going to do half and half. I've got 1/2 teaspoon of water in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and measure out the other to get it up to the teaspoon mark. Of this, oops, maybe a little extra, of this clear vanilla. We may have used more like a teaspoon of vanilla and 1/2 teaspoon of water. And then all we have to do now is just mix it up. Like I said, it's not hard. It's not a big batch. So I was going to use regular vanilla and that would have been perfectly fine. But I was thinking, oh, I want to keep that pretty color, but I didn't think about how the coconut sugar actually kind of has that brown color. I almost used almond extract just to give it a little extra almond flavor because the almond flour will give it some, but we like almond around here. And when you think about shortbread, yep. Okay, let's go ahead. We have our oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I have myself a very well-loved bar pan. If you're familiar with Pampered Chef and their stoneware, you know this is very, very well loved. But I do want to go ahead and I'm going to take just a little bit of this coconut oil that's left on this spoon with my clean hands. And I'm going to rub it, little noise there. I'm going to rub it on the pan just so that we have just a little bit of oil on it so it won't stick. But you can also just put down a sheet of parchment. And I have my smallest cookie scoop here. And we're going to go ahead and roll these out. And while we do this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit more about this collaboration. There are several channels that have gotten together to bring you some of their favorite cookie recipes. I mean, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all sorts of holidays are happening this time of year where people think sweet treats and cookies. And so there's going to be lots of recipes shared with you. And how you'll find all those to know that they're part of the collaboration is I'll have a playlist down below. Or of course, you can always go to our host channel, Lauren, again, from Work from Homesteader, and she will have the playlist on her channel as well. I wanted to let you know that there is a prize involved if you do go watch all of the channels. So once you've watched the channels, while you're there, go ahead and leave a heartfelt comment. I want you to do that because if you just leave a thanks or nice or yummy, simple little comments, YouTube finds that to be a little bit scammy. They tend to think that you're a robot or something like that, and then that you're not a real person. And so your comment may not get put in that random comment picker on November 22nd when she does her live stream giveaway for a $50 gift card. I would love to have that. How handy would that be? You can either get it in the form of a Visa card, or you can get it as an Amazon gift card. And so you'll want to make sure to put it on your calendar that at 6 p.m. on November 22nd, that you go ahead and watch for that live stream. There might be some other prizes involved too. We ended up with 9 cookies, so I must have made mine a little bit bigger than the rest of the recipe originally did. So now what we need to do is we want to press these cookies down a little bit more flat. And because I've got a little oil on here, I think this will work just fine. You could grab yourself a fork and do that. But I think this spoon will work just fine. Didn't like the way that looked, so we're just going to kind of bring this in a little bit. I'm afraid that's going to crumble. That looks like it would not be as pretty of a cookie. And just because we can, and I think it would look pretty, I happen to have in my freezer. Did you know if you put nuts in the freezer, they'll last longer? I have some slivered almonds. And I think that if we placed a slivered almond on these cookies, that would just look so pretty. What do you think? Yay or nay? So here we go. These are going to go to the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. There goes our timer. I'll go get the cookies. Okay, here they are. We're supposed to let this set just like this for 10 minutes, and it'll continue to bake. And then we can put it on the cooling rack underneath to continue to cool until we're ready to eat them. Now that our 10 minutes is up, this is cool enough to kind of touch. I'll put it off to the side here, and we'll move our cookies over to the cooling rack to finish cooling. They smell really good, by the way. I am loving using the coconut oil. I think that's just going to give it one more depth of flavor. But one thing we didn't do that I had planned to do was put a pinch of salt in this. That is completely optional, especially if you are working with a special needs diet and you're trying to keep the sodium down. You don't have to add it. There's plenty of other flavors. But other things that you might think about doing is we could have made a little thumbprint in here, and you could add in maybe like some sugar-free jams. You could have added in all sorts of different flavorings. See, that's the thing I really love about home cooking. You can get creative and make it your own. I can imagine even just a drizzle of chocolate on top of this, like a really good dark chocolate, a lower sugar if you want, or full sugar is fine too. But I can imagine that would look really pretty drizzled right on top of these cookies. What are some of the things that maybe you would do to put your personal twist on them? And one for us to taste test. Our cookies have baked, they've cooled, we've had a wonderful afternoon together. But now, this one, the one that I accidentally got my thumb in, we better give that one a taste test, don't you think? I wasn't really sure what to expect. Very pleasantly surprised. Definitely can taste the almond. You can taste the coconut. It's just a delightful treat. And aren't they cute? They look so pretty too. Thanks so much for coming along with me today. Thanks for joining in on this collaboration. I hope you go check out all the other videos, and we will see you next time. Bye for now, my friends.